Hi, I'm Lauren Lanning, co-founder and creative director of Oddworld Inhabitants. We're here today with Shacknews showing Oddworld Soulstorm.
So talk about what you're showing here specifically at E3.
So we're showing the latest game we've been working on. We've been on it for 3 years. It's a Unity-based game. We're really pushing their technology. They've been very helpful as well. And what we've done is we've decided to completely redo what was the second game in the quintology. And so after the success we had a few years ago with New and Tasty, which surpassed our expectations, we decided to really try and pull off the Oddworld quintology 5-part series as originally envisioned. This is part 2. Not necessary to play part 1. Each part will stand on its own, but that's what we're here showing and how we've evolved the platformer genre, the 2.5D genre, into a 2.9D possibility, which is kind of exciting. So that's what we're here showing.
So for people who have never played an Oddworld game, kind of give a brief description of what's going on in this world.
So this is a world that we created that reflects the dysfunctionality of our own world, and we wanted to start with heroes that weren't muscle-bound and the guy you really wanted to be, more likely the guy you possibly are, the poor schmuck at the bottom of the food chain facing impossible odds. And so I wanted to have hero characters in the original creation of this IP that really ordinary people could identify with, that weren't trying to be the latest special forces fighter. And they had to use their brains, and they had to be clever, and they had to use solve puzzles and dynamic puzzles, meaning today what's happening is more at times like Breakout. How do I break these 50 guys out of this factory and survive? Becomes more of the puzzle rather than how do I roll under 12 meat grinders at different timing paces. So we're staying true. All the basic moves of what Abe always had are still there, and then we've just expanded on it quite a bit with a lot more depth, adding inventory, wallet system, economies, 2 different economies, a spiritual one and an economic one, and a relevant crafting system, which goes to basically you're able to scavenge through the world and get returnable bottles, bottle caps, things that you can cash in for recycling. Then you can buy things from vending machines that you can then craft with things that you found in the world, a la Anarchist Cookbook. So essentially it's very anti-establishment in that the products that the man sells you, you buy and convert into weapons that you use against the man. So we always like that theme.
So talk a little about what it's like going back, and because you're not remastering the old game, you're making a completely new game, but you want to stay true to that old game feel at the same time, adding new, modern comforts and modern things that you see in gaming now.
Well, we chose originally the side-scrolling flip screen platformer genre because we liked the ability of way it made you feel like you were sort of guardian angel over a character in a world, a la Flashback and games, Out of This World, those original games that sort of pioneered that, Prince of Persia. And building and staying true to that, we wanted to expand it and make it more dynamic. But it gave us this way to let you feel the sort of vulnerability of a character without always looking at it from a POV perspective, to have a more directed experience with more sophisticated camera and stuff like that. And ultimately, stay true to that genre, but evolve it. And this is really what the audience was telling us they wanted. They wanted to see more of a classic sort of play style, but with more 21st century touches. And that's what I think we've been trying to focus on. It hasn't been easy, but because we've had to figure out a lot of new play styles that we had difficulty saying what other game does this well. And some of the things we're doing were just so off the cuff and different that we didn't, it was hard to even find comparables, which means more time of us testing and discovering and figuring out what works and what doesn't, but hopefully we get that right.
The Oddworld games came out in the late 90s, and it's interesting to see some mechanics that worked then don't work now.
Yeah, so you had limited horsepower. You had limited tunability. I mean, we've grown up quite a bit, right, in terms of processing power. So we were like, how do we keep the energy similar? How do we make it not as frustrating? How do we have more difficulty levels for the people who really want to be hardcore? And all those things are built in now in a much more sophisticated way. But we still wanted to be like, that's the genre I love. And personally, that's the genre of playing I love. And we've seen the world go in many more different directions of gaming. Gaming is a super wide spectrum of possibilities now, but we really wanted to evolve on the classics and stay in a classic retro feel, but doing it in a very modern, new, fresh-looking way.
What did you guys learn from New and Tasty that you've applied and improved upon in Soulstorm?
Well, there's been a lot of technological levels. One of the big things we learned in New and Tasty was that we could actually accomplish a project with distributed development. It's challenging. Our team is spread all over the world. That allowed us to tap into talent in Australia, in the UK, in Canada, and all throughout the United States and other places too. But it's very challenging to manage. So in learning that it could be done, which is really more the way films are made, if they're not a big studio production, you have a company starts up by an above-the-line team, they figure out they want to make a movie, then they bring the teams on to shoot the shots, and then things get small again. So we've been much more dynamically flexible in that way in the last 2 games we built, New and Tasty and Soulstorm. That was a huge learning curve, learning how to manage people that aren't on the floor with you. And it's not just outsourcing. Like in outsourcing, you just go, here's all the perfect spec of what you need to deliver. That's not what we're doing. We're using co-creative chemistry with people that are, in Australia. So it's really challenging how you manage, how you stay in sync with one another, how easy it is to screw it up when you're not all in the same building. That's been a lot of the learning lessons. When it comes to gameplay, we just said, we need to get these characters out of the beast of burden mode that we're rescuing, because Abe's all about rescuing, and we need to start turning them into real player agency, real defenders, real vehicles of power. So they give you more spiritual power. They give, and this is literally in mechanics, chi and possession and related effects that come out of that, related powers that will come out of the more followers you have, the more you can do with them. And that meant they had to get much more dynamic, there had to be much more robust AI, and we knew from New and Tasty, we go, well, we think we had this success, we had great success, we had lots of sales, and we had lots of great reviews, but we felt like we weren't going to get away with that again. We had to really do something new to get a similar, if not better response. Hopefully we get a better response this time. And there was a lot of lessons there, and we learned a lot with how to use Unity tech. It surpassed where I thought it was capable of when we made New and Tasty, and then we've really pushed it this time in ways that I think is even surprising Unity, and they've been wonderful in trying to help us do new things with their tech, make it shine, make it look great.